What's up, Charles?
What's going on, man? Happy Friday.
Man, happy Friday to you as well. We got a good one today, a doozy today. But before we dive into it, it's 4th of July weekend, man.
No doubt about it. Everybody needs a little extra day on the weekend. Get a little barbecue, a little firecrackers, visit with family, and the world is back open. So, it's kind of like a whole new feeling all over again.
It is, and so to you, let me just start by saying welcome back, officially welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, we missed you for a couple weeks, but
I'm back in the saddle. I'm back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle, cool. Well, you got any plans for the 4th?
No.
Yeah, me either, man. You sound like me. I'm just kind of chilling. Not doing a whole lot of anything for the 4th, probably nothing that requires travel or anything intensive. All right, so let's, as we jump into what we're going to kind of dive into today, we got a special guest in the house. So Charles, why don't you introduce and give the audience?
Well, I think we're having some technical issues. I just got a message from he's having a connection issue and he can't solve it. So I don't know what the issue is, neither does he.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we'll jump into it while he's working on it. And if you get any updates there, just let me know, Charles. So we'll dive right into the topic today. We're talking NIL, name, image, and likeness. The NCAA relaxed restrictions and rulings around athletes being compensated for their name, image, and likeness. And this is new. And so, Charles, for people who haven't gone and actually read the rules, I think, some of the, I've heard a lot of stories out there, and a lot of them are not true.
Yeah.
A lot of myths. So people really have run with this thing. And the first one that I just kind of want to throw out there and say this is absolutely not true is that the schools can't just start paying athletes a salary.
Well, no, that's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
No, that's not how it works. It's going to be third parties, name, image, and likeness, NIL. Basically, the ability to market student athletes, to use their face, features, unique stories for marketing purposes to promote brands. So in other words, the student becomes a brand and they get paid for it.
Well, absolutely. And to dive deeper into that, I want to I'm gonna hit some of those questions that come up quite often. So you'll see me looking away. But I can't make some of this stuff up. Some of the stuff that'll come in. Here's the first one we'll go through. So will schools be allowed to pay athletes directly? No, Charles just answered that. That is not the case. Can athletes hire agents to handle this for them?
Yes.
That answer is yes. To handle their name, image, and likeness. Can athletes enter into NIL agreements with boosters? Now, this is a good question. So the answer to that one, Charles, is yes, they can. There's currently no restrictions on boosters as long as they're compensating them in the NIL guidelines and not for their performance.
Yeah, so they use that framework. But here's what I'll say, because for our listeners' purposes, if you have a son, a daughter, or a nephew, a cousin, a brother that's playing at the collegiate level, the thing that you need to know is you want to try to find someone that can advise you in that space. And so I hate we're having technical difficulty because Chris Neely is the person who we're referring to as our special guest, and he has intimate knowledge of the agency world. Um, know that this is something you can do yourself, but I would recommend that you seek competent representation that has a feel for the space, what's available, what will be available, and how that fits within the framework that has been set out by the NCAA. Because we can answer these individual questions, but I guarantee you, once they get layered into each other, you need somebody else to help you with that. And Neely is a good person to do that. So if we can't resolve the technical issues, we will bring him on another Friday so that he can give you his analysis and breakdown of the doors that this opens up. So I have a question for you.
Go for it.
Now that we have NIL in place, should Reggie Bush get his Heisman Trophy back?
Listen, I absolutely think so. And his bucket load of cash, right? Look, here's the thing. When we think back, if we just look back and we think about all the issues and things that Reggie Bush got in trouble for and got things taken away from him, and Johnny Manziel, that's legal now. That's all in play now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've always struggled with this because everybody can see the NCAA making a metric ton of cash off of student athletes. And you've always challenged me on the issue of they are getting paid because they're getting scholarships and books and food, but that isn't enough.
Well, hold on. Let me defend myself. That I never said that was enough. I always thought there was a flaw because they were not allowed to get compensation like another student would that was on scholarship. And so I always say the rules should be the same for academic and athletic. And so if academic can get paid and they're on scholarship, then athletics should be able to too. So I've always been a proponent of that. So I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, no. I mean, we had those round robin arguments, but I understand your point. I just wanted to put that out there because there's always been a school of thought that those scholarships is a form of payment. But what you're saying is that you need to go one step further, because if you could get a stipend as a chemistry major, then you should be able to receive some type of payment as an athlete.
Yeah, and here's why I say that. Having a scholarship is one thing, but you still got to live.
Exactly.
You got to eat and function. So what about the cost of playing football? What about the cost of playing sports, playing tennis, whatever it is? There's a cost to that. There's a cost to being a college student. And so they can get compensated in the form of stipends for that. Just like, and look, there's some programs, particularly in the sciences, they get compensated more than what I made my first year out of college. So if that's okay, and if it's okay on the academic side and they have scholarships, it should be okay on the athletic side. And I've always thought that's been a flaw. And then when you look at the amount of money discrepancy that athletes bring into a school versus what, let's just say, a chemistry major will bring into a school, these rules have to be the same. So this has been a long time coming. I'm excited about it, but I think it creates some new caveats and some new challenges that really the NCAA, as of yet, has not put a lot of framing around and protection around this process, right? So, and I think it provides an opportunity for certain states to have an advantage. And I'll state this and I'll kick it back to you, Charles. States like Florida and Texas that don't have state income tax, it's a great recruiting tool because it's advantageous, because that means you're not paying taxes. You're not going to pay state taxes, income taxes on your earnings if you're in Texas, or you're in Florida, or if you're in any state that doesn't have the state income tax.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Let's not go so far down that rabbit hole. For today, let's just celebrate as if it were still July 1st, and this possibility is now a reality. We can deal with all those ramifications later, but here's what I will tell you in a short response to that.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the athlete is doing what they're supposed to be doing, it doesn't really matter where they play. If they handle their business, then now that the door is open, there will be all types of opportunities available.
You said a key word there. And if Nilly wasn't having technical difficulties, I heard him say something similar earlier this week. Keep the main thing the main thing. If I'm quoting him correctly, I think that's what he said. And the reality is, you still have to perform, and an athlete has to perform on the field, because name, image, and likeness compensates you for your value or your perceived value. Your value is increased or decreased by what you do on the field. You're an athlete.
Yes.
So if you there's a strategy to it. This is marketing to it, and it starts early for high school athletes. So now, guess what? You need to make sure you take a hard look at your social media and clean it up. You need to make sure that the image that you put out there is something that companies can deem as marketable. So there's some other pieces to the puzzle that needs to be done, and hopefully these athletic departments will invest some resources into educating student athletes on how to get in a better position to brand yourself. Because
but here's what I would tell you. Because I spent a lot of time in the gym, and now I got another one.
Yeah.
Who well, we'll see. He may be something special down the road. Right now he's just a greenhorn. But here's what I told him. And it has nothing to do with name, image, and likeness. It's just this simple when it comes to sports. Everybody that watches pro sports thinks they can do what pro athletes do. The harsh reality is they can't.
Right.
So for those students in high school, I get what you're saying about having clean social media, clean academics. I get all of that. They should be doing that anyway.
Right.
This is just another layer, because the reality is coaches recruit and they do due diligence by checking social media. We've done shows about this, the do's and don'ts. So that should already be there. But they aren't going to pay you if you have a clean social media and a good attitude, if you're not dropping buckets, if you're not scoring touchdowns, if you're not getting tackles, if you're not winning golf tournaments, if you're not winning tennis matches, it won't matter. So while everybody wants to shine, that shine comes from the grind, baby.
I mean, that goes back to what we were saying, right? You still have to perform. Your value is directly tied to your performance.
Yes. So I don't want everybody to get the idea that now that you can get paid for your name, image, and likeness, that people are going to be paying you just because you look good.
Yeah. You better make sure you're playing good.
That's right.
Oh, and I want to dive into it a little bit deeper, right? So looking at another one of the questions that we got from a post we did earlier, and the question says, what exactly does it mean to compensate someone for their name, image, and likeness? Layman term, please. So the bottom line is, companies are so there's two caveats to that. If you're signing a deal, endorsement deal or something of that nature, companies are paying you because they have a perceived value that you can market their products. So again, it's all about performance. At the end of the day, your performance on the field gives you certain value. So I'll give you an example of that, Charles. Everybody knows who the starting quarterback is on campus. Don't nobody know who the fourth string quarterback is on campus.
Right.
Okay. So the value of that starting quarterback, when he puts on a brand or he's posting something on his Instagram, the sponsors, he's doing that, his traffic, his followers, his influence is going to be greater. That's an example of name, image, and likeness. So it's all as Charles just illustrated. It's all about what you do on the field, the court, um, uh, the bowling alley, whatever sport you play. It's about showing up and showing out so that you can increase your value. And the more your value increases, the more you can earn in NIL. Oh, yeah, they're directly tied to each other.
Yeah, I mean, think about it this way. Peyton Manning, he gets paid to do insurance commercials. Now he has a game show. He wouldn't have those things if he was just Peyton Manning. He has them because he was Peyton Manning, superstar quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. I mean, look, I tell you what, and you know I'm a diehard Steelers fan. You know that's you know that's what I am. But you can tell me who the Steelers starting quarterback is without much thought, right?
No, who is the Steelers starting?
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. Everybody knows Ben Roethlisberger.
What team is that?
Everybody knows that, right? But you can't even tell me who the backup quarterback is, even though he's played a significant amount of games in the last 2 seasons. Why? Because nobody remembers him. The value is different. Dak Prescott makes a lot of money in endorsements. Patrick Mahomes makes a lot of money in endorsements. Aaron Rodgers makes a lot of money in endorsements. But for all of those, there are also players at the same position that don't make much at all, right? So again, it's all about what you do on the field. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of quarterbacks, but there are not a lot of QB1s.
Right.
That's essentially what you're saying. Do we have any feedback from the audience? Let's see what's going on.
Nothing so far. So get your questions in, family. Let me put that out there. So go ahead and send the questions in. So, here's my question to you, and it's particularly parents as well. So you got parents that'll be dealing with this. The kids will be entering college soon, or currently in the recruiting process now, or they're in college right now and they're already a student athlete. Everybody needs to be well versed in this, and I do agree with you, Charles, that this is something that you want to make sure you spend the most of your time up front getting the right person to represent you, because it's a lot of intricate details to this, and you need somebody that knows what they're doing to help you navigate it.
It's just like anything else. There's probably a DIY kit being made for this. Mm-hmm. You can do it yourself. Question is, do you want to? Because technically, you could do brain surgery yourself.
Might not live to tell about it, but you can do it.
Yeah. So this is one of those situations where not only do you need to know the rules, you need to know the essence of the rule. You need to know how it fits into your particular set of circumstances. And you need somebody with that type of relationship with the industry that can help you navigate. Because this is not going to be a July 1st, 2021 thing. This is a game changer for the entire athletic population. Because these opportunities will only get bigger and better. I see where Hersey Miller signed a $2 million deal today. So, I mean, it's coming, and it will be here. As much as the NCAA did not want this, it is here.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I mean, we understand why they didn't want it, right? They got to keep all that money before, so it makes sense. And you're going to see a lot of deals that happen. What do you say to the athlete out there, Charles, that maybe they don't get a deal right off, right? They're a little frustrated with the process and they think they got to get a deal. What's another thought process to settle them down?
Well, I don't know if it's so much settling down, but you think about it this way. Once upon a time, there were no 5-star rankings. There was no 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. You just went and played man on man. Best man eventually got to the league. Now you have rankings. And I tell kids this all the time. You may not be in the rankings, but that doesn't mean you can't play on the next level.
Right.
Yeah. So it's the same principle here. You may not have an endorsement deal yet, but keep working on your craft.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say to that, especially don't panic if you're a b-ball player and you didn't sign endorsements in July, you hadn't even hit the court yet. Unless you've already proven and you're already have done it, and you're coming off your stats from last year historically, then relax. As Aaron Rodgers says, just relax and show up and show out, and then the deals will come. Take care of the main thing, and the rest will take care of itself. And so I think, another question we got, Charles, is are there other restrictions on how athletes are there any other restrictions on how athletes can make money? And that answer is yes. There are. And the other one is, can schools actually help them with the NIL process? It's really governed by the state laws that are done in every state. And I'm going to let you talk about the state laws and how that comes into play, Charles, because there's been a lot of questions about that. Some states have passed a law for NIL, some states haven't. What does that even mean? Can you dive into that a little bit?
Well, essentially for now, like I said, it's so fresh that I don't want to bog people down on all of that. What you need to know is that it's available to you, and then hire somebody that can help you navigate it.
Yep.
I mean, because you could get state specific, you can go down the line. Most of the southern states have it. California started it. But you need to know, whenever you're dealing with anything related to the NCAA, you need representation.
I think you need to say that again.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line, if you are dealing with anything related to the NCAA, you need representation. Now, mom and daddy, grandmama, auntie may be able to help you get through a national letter of intent and signing a scholarship. I still would have you read that and find out the fine print on that as to what you're getting. And that's a conversation we can have on another day, because people think when you sign a scholarship, you sign it for 4 years. You may be signing for 4 years, or you may be signing for 1 year. You may be signing for a partially, and you think you're signing for a full. All of those things, you need somebody that can help you navigate that space. This is going to be particularly important because you're talking about your name, your face, your body, and what context is going to be used in. And so you want to be compensated properly for that usage. You need somebody that understands what proper compensation is.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I think. So here's another question, Charles, for you. What else would you say as everybody now starts looking at it? Because it just became illegal yesterday. I do want to kind of highlight the fact that, and I'll toot the Jackson State bandwagon for a second, but the first, what is appeared to be known as the first player that actually signed a deal was actually a Jackson State player, I believe Antoine Owens, that did it in a ceremony at midnight in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So just showing that it's athletes from all over, from all levels, from all sports, even non-traditional one. This is not just the big four predominant sports. This is any sport. So I want to be clear about this. Any sport. So depending on where you are in the country, we know certain sports are more popular in certain places, but this is any sport, and athletes in any sport collegiately that's governed by the NCAA can now do this and take advantage of it.
Well, I mean, hey, you want to have opportunities, right? And we are always talking about income disparities. This has been a spot where income has been very disparate because the NCAA was the have and the players were the have-nots.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this is an opportunity, and it's only going to get bigger.
Well, so just flashing back. Let's do a flashback moment for a second, since you brought up Reggie Bush, and I think about that era: Reggie Bush, Vince Young, all those guys at that time. Shoot, even recently, as we look at Kyler Murray, right, and two-sport athlete in Arizona, who ended up choosing football over baseball, had options to do both. So, somebody asked, I heard this conversation going in a conversation I had the other day. Has baseball always been in this arena where they're a little bit in this arena where they're ahead of the rest of the sports? Or why was baseball just so uniquely different? And can you speak to that? Because I think it's because they start the draft process a lot earlier, right? They can draft you right out of high school, but I know there's some athletes that come out and have the option to go both. They get drafted in baseball. They also have football scholarship offers, and they have to make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're talking about a couple different things. So if you're a two-sport athlete and you can't give up your amateur status, go play pro ball, and get a college scholarship. It doesn't work that way. But what you can do is give up the opportunity for a scholarship, go play pro ball, and come back and play a college sport. You may end up having to pay your own way. That's how that works.
Well, now let me ask you this. Because this is a question I hadn't even thought about, but can non-scholarship players, so let's say walk-ons, they were also weren't they governed by the same restrictions of the NCAA as well before? I mean,
yes, if you're on a team, the governing body of the NCAA covers the university member institutions. Right. So it doesn't matter if you walk on or you're on scholarship, you have to abide by the rules that are in place for the individual players. And as to baseball, think about this. Yesterday, I shared a post that I normally share every year around this time. Yesterday was Bobby Bonilla Day because he collected his $1 million yesterday, and he'll do so all the way up to he's age 72.
Yeah, I saw that post. And you might want to explain why he's collecting $1 million.
Oh, he negotiated his contract so that it was spread out. A lot of his money was post dated, so he get a better tax rate.
Mm-hmm. Smart move. And then he's guaranteed to have money coming in when he needed it, so he couldn't blow it. So as he got wiser with the way he utilized his money, he still had it coming in.
Bro, he's a millionaire every year on July 1st.
Right.
But here's where there's a slight difference in baseball and other sports. All money is guaranteed in those baseball contracts.
That's correct.
Football, you hear the flashy number, you hear the signing bonus.
Yeah, you hear the signing bonus, but you got to look for the guaranteed money. What is the guaranteed money out the deal? So, for example, you might hear the contract is $120 million. Well, but they're not guaranteed $120 million. The guarantee may be $53 million, maybe $60 million.
Signing bonus, and then depending on how good. Well, in football now for the rookies, I mean, heck, it's on a scale. So, I mean, you're talking about what your second and third, contract will be.
Yeah, I mean, the first 4 years as a rookie, I think as a rookie, you're going to top out at about $3-4 million a year. $3 million a year, I think.
I mean, they got slotted. They have slotted numbers by tiers. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not really, you can negotiate that. Because I mean, it's right. It's on paper. That's something that's on paper. Right. The difference with this name, image, and likeness is you're over into not just the sport. You're talking about products and goods and services. For instance, if you have Leslie Peters Sugar Shack, and you want to, do a contract with one of Jackson State's players, you both have to assign what that value is. It's perceived and actual.
Right.
And so you need somebody who understands what that means in the arena of marketing dollars, advertising, and what the return on investment will be to the company to invest in that player. That's
Right.
a little bit steep for most people. But the people who are in the industry and understand agency and marketing and that type of thing, they can help you assign a value to it.
Yeah, well, that's important though, because people need to understand that, because nobody's just paying you to pay you.
No.
They're paying you for a desired outcome.
Yeah, exactly.
So that if I pay you $5 million a year, I'm making a lot more than $5 million a year off that investment to you. You're helping me penetrate a market that I wasn't able to do. So there's a reason that people pay you. I tell people all the time that it has to be a reason why people pay you. You got to be solving a problem or filling a need. And so they're not just going to go around paying athletes because you got a business and you want to support the university. Your name, image, likeness is marketing. It's marketing all day, every day. And with every form of marketing, we always look for ROI on that marketing investment. So even though you sign a deal, remember those things have a start date, they have an end term, some are longer, and they have metrics in them that you need to hit. So it's business. It's not personal.
Oh no, it's all business. But you better be armed with people who understand that business, because it can be treacherous. I mean, it's no different than recording artists.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll give you a simple issue that can come up. So let's say, Charles, let's take you back to your playing days.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your representative, and we just signed the NIL agreement, and so we got you a $650,000 deal over 6 months, and we look at the fine print of that. You must make 10 posts every 24-hour period of talking about this product and how you use it in your daily life. And so it's got to be integrated in. And you've got to do that at least 4 days out of a 7-day week. Now, here's the thing. If you're not a poster, right? So that's all in the contract. That's an agreement that we agreed to.
Great point.
You got to have somebody that can advise you to say, all right, now we need because you're not a poster, you're not going to be able to manage and keep up with this. Because remember, you're still an athlete. You got to keep your main thing the main thing. You still got to focus on performing. So in that deal, there's some embedded costs. We need to be able to hire a firm that's going to do these postings, or hire somebody that's going to do these postings, and you get the metrics that's managing this. Because if you're not, because you still got to perform. So you have a business now that has to be run, which is your name, image, and likeness. And if you don't run it by those rules, just as quickly as you sign that deal, you quickly be losing that deal.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, and again, I'm proceeding with caution. I'm speaking with caution, because I don't want these athletes to get hung up on, I'm about to get paid, and
Right.
then you flunk out of school trying to get paid.
There you go.
If you don't do what you're supposed to do in the classroom, you're still a student athlete. If you don't do what you're supposed to do in the classroom, they're not going to pay you. If you don't perform when the lights come on and you step in between the lines, whatever your lines are, track and field, bowling, whatever it is, there are opportunities there. But if you don't perform, they're not going to pay you. You have to do both. Then you have to do that third thing. And that third thing could be anything from posting to promotions in person, speaking engagements. You need professional help to navigate that space so that you don't bog yourself down and end up messing up even worse, because you don't know how to handle something that complicated. And it may not be so complicated in what they're asking, but what you did was give a great example. If you don't post every day, then you don't know how to post every day. So that's going to disrupt your daily routine.
Right. So you've got to have somebody that can know that about you and put the systems and things in place to do those things, to make sure that you know those things are taken care of. So Your focus is always on what? The main thing. You hear a lot of professional athletes say, look, I let my agent deal with that. I'm focused on the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so the other part you bring up to that about your concerns about student athletes and remembering that student athlete, here's the other news flash. If you're not handling business in the classroom, you can't play anyway.
Exactly.
If you can't play, then you can't perform and execute. If you can't perform and execute, then you have no opportunity to get paid. So it all works together.
Or not just opportunity, you don't have any value at that point.
Right.
Because value is assigned to the ones that show up and show out.
Period.
So you probably want to keep it real simple. Get real good at what you do.
So Charles, if you could give one message about NIL, one message to potential to student athletes, and one message to parents of student athletes, what would those messages be? If you could only tell them one thing.
I would tell them to still focus more on the craft and the classroom, 2 C's. Because if you can't get to college, then you're not eligible to even take part in that opportunity. The other thing I would tell them is, once you get there, so this is going to change the landscape on recruiting, obviously. Because let's face it, some schools have already been, LSU has already been doing it. If you think about, I want you to think about this, because we're big in HBCU world, but I also follow the LSU Tiger. One thing about LSU, when it comes to name, image, and likeness, is check this out. All the star players pretty much have a nickname or a signature move or something signature that their public relations department has already given them long before NIL. Honey Badger.
Right.
Shaq, the Diesel.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So that's what we mean when we say name, image, and likeness. I mean, and I use LSU as the example because I follow them closely. But here's what I would say to those students who are considering HBCUs. This opens the door even wider and makes a great case for HBCU, because what we've known for a very long time in HBCU land is it does not matter if you play Power 5 or anywhere else. If you can play, they will find you for the professional level. And it doesn't matter the sport. What matters is the talent, because they have a great system for evaluating talent.
So the bottom line, if you can play,
yes. So don't let the big schools tell you that you have to go there in order to take advantage of name, image, and likeness. Because, hey, think about it this way: do it for the culture, and now you can get paid for it. Hitman 38, name, image, and likeness. This is what we're talking about.
And you know what my class it was. I ain't going to put it out there because I never live it down today. But all through college and through school, nobody really called me by my government name, so to speak. Not in terms of football. That name, image, and likeness is critical. We all have players that we do that by. I think about looking at the WNBA when Cheryl Swoops, right? What a name, right? And that just name, image, and likeness. And when she would shoot, all they would say was the last name.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I mean, and see, I'm not putting that up there, Pitman, because I knew you was gonna do that, but I'm not putting it up there. So I'm gonna hide that message.
I've already said it. So people, what he doesn't want you to know is, which we all who have known him for a very long time know, his nickname in high school and college, his nickname to this day is Sugar Bear. That's SUGAR. Sugar Bear.
See, and then you got Andrea Lewis kind of give him a nickname, Nard. All right, Andrea, I've been good lately, so don't start, because you know where I'm gonna go. but no, but those
he has a name, image, and likeness too. But no, I won't do that. Okay. But yeah, I mean, on the one hand, there are the same advantages that there were prior to July 1st for Power Fives. But on July 1st, this opens the door for HBCUs in this way. If you have the ability, they are going to find you. And that means that you can make money for your name, image, and likeness, just as you could in the Power Five.
Right.
As you said, Antoine signed a deal in Times Square at midnight, and he's a player at Jackson State University.
Right.
Here's where I do a shameless pitch for Jackson State. We've always had great players. We've always had coaches with personality. Big Daddy, WC.
Yep.
You know,
Judge. And guess what? They all had name, image, and likeness names behind them too.
Yeah. And the reason I say that is because we have a very rich history. But I want you to think about this in today's landscape. Baseball team, Black national champions. Football team has one of the best marketers on the planet in Coach Prime. Basketball team, back-to-back SWAC champ. There's a lot of good momentum on campus. So if you are a budding athlete and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in the classroom, somewhere like Jackson State would be a great place for you to blossom even further and have opportunities for endorsements.
Yeah. I mean, look.
And that's not to say Jackson State is the only place. I'm just giving you that little recipe because what we said in the beginning was take care of your business on the playing field and in the classroom. So if you're on a baseball team that are Black national champs, you don't think there's an opportunity there somewhere for somebody to do a name, image, and likeness deal?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if you wanted to learn the business of sports and marketing, would you want to learn from Coach Prime or somebody who's never done it?
Right. That's key. Now, what you just said was worth a couple million right there. Somebody that's done it can always show you how to do it.
Exactly.
I'm going to take it a step further. Not somebody that just has done it. Somebody that is still doing it.
Yes.
He's still doing it. He had picked up a football in probably 16 years to play professionally, but he is still that guy in terms of marketer. He's still in Super Bowl commercials.
Yes.
So, I mean, when you have an opportunity to do that, and there was also an announcement, Charles, I don't know if you saw this, but Michael Strahan and his media company with Constant Sports and their initiative that they have pursued several companies that have agreed to do NIL deals specifically with HBCUs, starting with the athletes at Jackson State.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, so here's another piece of context as to why I say it's a great day for HBCUs, and not just football.
Right.
The stories that come from HBCU lore, they would sell anywhere, and that's the value. That's what brings value. When we talked earlier about the perceived value and actual value and return on investment, sweetness.
Right.
From Columbia, Mississippi, Marion County.
Right.
Played in the band at halftime in his football uniform. Goes on to be an all-time running back in the NFL for the Chicago Bears. Right. That story is priceless.
Yes. It is.
So that is the type of thing that businesses are going to look for, because marketing is the art of storytelling, whether that's visual or otherwise.
I mean, listen, marketing is all about storytelling. Sales is about storytelling. And so at the end of the day, you're right. Nobody has greater stories than the HBCU work. It's it's so many David Goliath stories, so many stories out there that we have where we have triumphed over adversity. So I think that's always important to take a look at. So we'll go here. I think Charles is having some technical difficulties, so we'll go right here until we can get him back live and on there. But what are your questions? Get them in the comments if you have any questions about name, image, and likeness, and something we may or may not have covered already today in reference to name, image, and likeness. Again, just to recap everybody on what we've been discussing today is the new legislation and ruling on NIL now being legal and effective as of yesterday in college athletics, and not just football, basketball, but all college athletics. And so now that really does change the paradigm in terms of how athletes can make resources and be compensated for the name, image, and likeness and go on to perform and do really, really well. And also to put food on the table and help their families out. We must realize not everybody comes. Some people, when they come to college, they're doing better in college and living better in college than they were at home. And so this is a big deal. So we want to make sure that they handle it the right way. But the main thing is to make sure you perform in the classroom and on the field, because if you don't do those, you won't have an opportunity to be compensated at all because you won't have any value. All right. So we are going to get you out of here, but I do want to send you off. And remember, this is the 4th of July weekend. I want you to be safe. Those that are traveling, travel safely, be helpful to one another, and be kind. Remember, love is the key. It gets us through all adversity. And until next week, we will see you on the other side. Take care.